Hello, everyone, and welcome to this live meet and greet with Godfrey. My name is Benjamin, and I would like to uh, let everyone know that you can ask questions regarding this. So, I would like to introduce our good friend Godfrey. He is our um, expert in mountain gorillas. So, Godfrey, how are you?
I'm really good, and a very good afternoon to everyone listening in and watching in. I'm Godfrey, and I'm a tour guide. I'm a conservationist, and yeah, I love animals. I love conservation. I love nature. Yeah, I do safaris in Uganda, Rwanda, and Tanzania, and yeah, I really love doing really this, spreading the good news about conservation and yeah, telling people, yeah, sharing the good news of conservation. I'm happy to be with you, and I'm looking forward to answer all of your questions regarding mountain gorillas. Right now, I'm seated in Entebbe in Uganda, and in Entebbe is where the international airport is. So, and we have the weather is very nice. While I'm speaking now, we are currently experiencing a 23 degrees Celsius, very very nice weather. Of course, close to the largest, to the third largest a freshwater lake in the whole world, Lake Victoria. So I can tell you the weather is fantastic here, and yeah, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Godfrey. So, which means that if we wanted to go on a trip to safari, you're our man, right?
Yes, of course. Yeah, yeah.
And we are
Yes.
going to contact you. So tell us something about if we go on a safari tour, like for example, you mentioned in the video that we have pre-recorded and shown to everybody. You mentioned about the Forgotten Kingdom. So what is a Forgotten Kingdom, and how did you come up with a uh, a term like Forgotten Kingdom?
Well, that's fantastic, Benjamin. That's a very, very interesting question. Yeah, I came about with the Forgotten Kingdom. Literally, I was meaning the mountain gorillas. So the mountain gorillas are the subspecies of the gorillas, which are two. We have the Western gorillas and the Eastern gorillas. So the Forgotten Kingdom I'm talking about specifically is the mountain gorillas, which is the subspecies of the eastern Roland gorillas. So the mountain gorillas being called so, the Forgotten Kingdom, is because they have been listed under the endangered list for quite a long time. And why so endangered? Because of limited habitat. Of course, they are very few in number. Currently, we have approximately about 1,069 mountain gorillas in the whole world. 1,069 gorillas
The
in
whole
the whole
world.
world. Yes,
That's the number.
yes, that's the number. But it is, of
Uh,
course, an estimate. It is an estimate. Maybe there are many, but currently the numbers are telling us that through science and researchers who are doing the job, including us, of course, who study and follow up the gorillas. So coming up with the Forgotten Kingdom, I thought I was there. I was born in the mountain gorilla area. I come from Bwindi National Park, around the area. It's where I'm born. So I have been watching what's going on, with the mountain gorillas. So basically, the conservation of mountain gorillas in Uganda started in 1991. In 1991, that's when the conservation of gorillas started. There is the World Wildlife Organization came in, of course, to join other conservationists to see what they can do and do conserve these animals, because they were actually perishing, they were dying, but of course no one knew that these animals existed. So of course the conservation of these gorillas have been in existing, that it has been taking place all over there since 1991. But of course when I came in, when I look at it, when I studied it as a person, as a tour guide, as someone who loves conservation, who loves animals, these animals are very few in the whole world, and actually their habitat, where they live is very limited, because only in Uganda, Rwanda, and Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo, is where you can find these mountain gorillas, only in 3 countries. So when I talked about even the 1,069, I meant the whole of, it's the population, the world's population of mountain gorillas. So you can imagine how small this number is. So I thought of joining the already existing conservations and organizations to participate in these animals. And of course, when I looked at how the numbers of other wild animals, I thought maybe because the numbers are in thousands, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, and these are only 1,000, and that is the population in the whole world. So I thought maybe I can do something maybe to increase, on the numbers. When we conserve them, maybe in the future we could have actually more numbers, just like antelopes, just like buffaloes, just like elephants, just like crocs, crocodiles, and very many other animals. So calling it the Forgotten Kingdom was because the numbers were few, and very few people were actually concerned about the life of these animals.
So what we're trying to understand here is that when you mention about the Forgotten Kingdoms, they're all about the gorillas and their habitat, natural habitat. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. So yeah, I think we have a video here that we have compiled regarding the journey to the Forgotten Kingdom. So let's watch it, and maybe we're gonna have some questions later. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
So tell us about the experience. Say, for example, we coming here from outside Uganda, we arrived to the airport. What do we expect? What are we expecting?
Wow. That's very, very, very interesting. So, like I mentioned in my introduction, that I'm a tour guide, and in the last 3.5 years, I started up a tour company called Interior Safaris East Africa. So basically, our main aim was to really do tours and safaris based on conservation. So we do organize tours and safaris. So when anybody is interested in going, for example, in going to visit this Forgotten Kingdom, we are currently based in Kampala, which is the capital city of Uganda. We have our office, and we are very ready to welcome you. Uganda has Entebbe International Airport, which is the only international airport that Uganda has. We have more than 16 service providers coming from all over the world. The airlines coming to Entebbe are more than 16, connecting us to the entire world. So you book a trip as usual. You can book with us through, we can make, depending on how much time you have, if it is 2 weeks, if it is 1 week in Uganda, if you want to combine other countries where the mountain gorillas are, like Congo and Rwanda, we can still combine the 3 countries. We can do one country at a time, depending on how much time you have and how much interested you are in knowing or learning more about the mountain gorillas. So we organize those trips. So of course you contact me through email or through whatever means of communication. We arrange the trip depending on the time, your interest, whatever, everything. So that holiday, we organize it, and then we welcome you at the airport. And then, of course, depending on the itinerary, on the journey that we have planned, how many days, where are we going to do, how are we going to do it, at any time, we are there to welcome you at the airport. And then, of course, from there, I myself, I can be there, or any other staff of Interior Safaris East Africa can be there, depending on who or how many are coming, whatever it is, even if it is a group of 30, even if it is a group of 2 people, even if it is a single traveler, a sole traveler, even if it is a study trip, we can organize all those kinds of trips and tours. So we will be there at the airport to welcome you at any time. Let it be in Kigali International Airport, let it be in Arusha, let it in any of, whenever you choose to land to East Africa, we will be ready to welcome you. But of course, in Entebbe, I myself, I will be there to welcome you, of course, and then take you to the trip. Basically, if it is a Forgotten Kingdom trip, the drive from Entebbe International Airport can take us about 9 to 10 hours. Because in Uganda, not this, in Uganda, we have 2 habitats where the mountain gorillas live. So we have Mugahinga National Park, which is far in the southwest of Uganda, and Bwindi Impenetrable National Park. So in Mugahinga National Park, the distance from Entebbe to Mugahinga National Park is takes us 10 hours, 10 hours drive. Of course, in a very comfortable, good car, safari car, a Land Cruiser, a very, very comfortable car for safari. And of course, it takes us about 10 hours. And the trip from Entebbe to Bwindi Impenetrable National Park takes us 9 to 10, depending on how much time we spend on the way. And then, as if anyone cannot actually manage to be in a car, on a ride, on a drive for all those hours, we can as well arrange flights, charters, inbound charters. So actually, a charter from Entebbe International Airport to Mugahinga is only 45 minutes. You can imagine, 45 minutes, you are already with the gorillas in Mugahinga National Park. And then, of course, a charter from Entebbe to Bwindi. There is because in Bwindi, actually, there is no Crows airfield. So actually, we land closer. But of course, this flight takes us 39 minutes, you are at the airfield. But of course, from the airfield to Bwindi National Park, it only takes us 50 minutes drive. It's a 50-minute drive. So we can as well arrange those inbound charters, and then we are good to go, and of course visit the Forgotten Kingdom, the mountain gorillas.
Oh, thank you very much for that, Godfrey. But here's the thing. This is my first time going to Africa. I mean, how safe am I during the travel from the airport going to the Forgotten Kingdom? Because, safety is very important for me. So could you please tell us something about our safety?
Yes, that is a very, very big concern and a fantastic question, Benjamin. It's a nice one. And now I want to assure you that if not the best, Uganda is one of the most safest countries in Africa. Why I say that? Uganda has been stable for the last 38 years. There is no civil war. There is no nothing. Uganda is the safest country in the whole of Africa. And mind you, when you go online or you read, Uganda has the best and the most friendliest people in the whole world. Uganda has been voted, I think, 3 consecutive times worldwide by Lonely Planet, by travel organizations and travel agents all over the world. Uganda has been voted the most friendliest country in the whole world since 2018. Uganda has been being voted every year in and out as the most friendliest country. So you can imagine how safe you are in Uganda. You're very safe. I am, if anyone, of course, you would read and of course do some research, but I assure you that Uganda is very, very, very safe. Personally, of course, our neighbors have some conflicts, like in Congo. There have been conflicts. There have been some attacks, a few, but of course not in general in Kenya. But in Uganda, we have been safe for the last 38 years. So you can imagine how safe you are. You are very safe. And I assure you that, I assure safety is guaranteed when you come to Uganda.
Well, thank you very much for that, Godfrey.
Yes,
That is very reassuring that I am safe. But
very safe.
well, there's one more thing that was going to my mind. So, how's the food there? Could you tell us about it?
Yes, yeah. Like I said, Uganda is extremely, extremely a beautiful country, regardless of other factors, leaving other factors constant. Uganda is naturally endowed amongst the East African countries, amongst the tropical countries that do exist in the Great Lakes region. Uganda is a very, very naturally endowed country that is, fresh food all year round, fresh food. So the food is the cuisines. Of course, the difference in what you would expect or what you would actually enjoy in Uganda is the different cuisines that you will enjoy. Why? Because Uganda harbors 56 ethnic groups of people. That is, of course, 56 plus cultures. Of course, these cultures, we eat different foods. So we eat different foods, we share, we only know. So it's you have a taste, you have a taste of these fresh foods and from different cultures and from different places with different people. I can assure you that the food is very safe. Why? Because it is tropical. Actually, in Uganda, our food in Uganda, actually, there is no market for fruit in Uganda because we have the best weather, the best temperatures, and our food is from the garden to the stomach. So there is no need of of the fridge in Uganda. So the food is really tasty and is very unique. I'm sure you have not heard about something called matoke. Have you?
No, no, I haven't heard and tasted about that. But thank
So
you very much for
now
letting us know that we're going to be safe and
yes,
we're not going to get hungry. But
no,
here we have a question coming in from the chat. Bernard asked, "Is it safe to be close to the gorillas? Is there not a danger they would attack people that come close to them? I mean, how safe are we around gorillas? Could you please tell
wow,
us something about that?"
yes. And now that is one of the best and one of the most things that actually intrigued me, that gave me even courage, that actually gave me love for gorillas. That is one of the best questions. Now, gorillas are 98.2% human genes. Oh, we share 92.8 genes with the gorillas. That means we are actually closer to them. We are their relatives. The gorillas, the mountain gorillas, are the second closest relatives of human beings after the chimpanzees. So they are actually more of human beings. So the gorillas we also call them the gentle giants. the gentle giants. They are very, very gentle and humble animals. For the many years, since I was 5, since I started encountering mountain gorillas, even when I started reading and researching about them, I haven't had any incident where a gorilla has attacked a human being when you come close to them. The only difference why we don't come close to gorillas is because, of course, since we share the same genes, almost the same genes, there is a possibility that we can actually infect them with viruses. For example, now in Corona, when you come too close, you can actually infect them. But to answer in simplicity, the question is, gorillas are not harmful to human beings. Actually, it's reverse. Human beings have been a threat to the life of gorillas.
Well, thank you very much, Godfrey, for making us feel safe around gorillas. So here's another follow-up questions. Um, do gorillas mate with one partner in their life, or will they mate with multiple mates? And another follow-up question would be, how many children will a gorilla mother have typically in their lifetime?
Wow, that's a super one. Now, the life of a gorilla is quite, of a mountain gorilla in particular, it's quite interesting. The mountain gorillas can live up to about 35 to 40 years in the wild, and up to 50 in captivity. That is when they are in the zoo. 50 in the zoo and 35 to 40 in captivity, in the wild. So now gorillas do mate. And now here is the interesting part of the story. The mountain gorillas live in groups. We also call them families because they are actually like human beings. So we call them families. So every family has a dominant male. So they actually have dominant males. These dominant males, we call them, they are called silverbacks. And normally, it is these silverbacks that become dominant males, or they become the kings of the family. They are the fathers of the families in which they rule. So whenever you hear something dominant male, that means all the females in the family, they belong to him. Only when he dies, or only when something happens, but of course, all these females belong to him. So they don't mate with one female, and they also only mate away from this male when he has lost power. So how does he lose power? He loses power through fights. When, of course, other male gorillas come in, they feel they are powerful, they can overpower him, then they can wage a rebellion. They can become rebellious. When they win him, of course, all the females in the family, they bow to the winner, and they take that one as the strong man who can protect the family. The silverback is the head in many ways in looking for food, looking for good, habitat, where to sleep, where is good food, which way can we take. Of course, to avoid the leader is always behind. Why? To make sure that the group is safe. The group has no interference from, of course, other wild dwellers. So they don't mate with one single female. Rather, they mate with all other females in the group. And now, when it comes to birth, like I mentioned, they live in families. They are close to human beings. They are the second closest relatives to humans after the chimpanzee. The gorillas give only one kid at a time, a young one at a time. There have been few cases of twins. There is only one gorilla which gave birth to 3 young ones. That was way back in 2006. And then they can give birth to 3 in their entire life, to 3 or 4, depending, of course, on the fertility rate at which this particular female is. Yeah. So between 4 and 3 in their entire life, they can give birth to that.
Well, That is
Yeah.
very informative. Thank you very
Yes.
much for asking for answering that question. But let's look at the video of the Forgotten Kingdom itself, and then we'll do some follow-up questions. Okay, let's watch this.
All right, that's interesting. Thank you.
Well, that was a very nice video. Could you tell us something about the diet of the mountain gorillas? I saw them early in the video eating something.
Wow, that is so interesting. Yeah. Now, the difference between mountain gorillas and other normal gorillas, the Roland gorillas in Botswana and other countries, actually in Congo, there are mountain gorillas and lowland gorillas. So the difference now, what separates us from gorillas as human beings is because mountain gorillas are 99.2% vegetarians. Vegetarians. They stick, the mountain gorillas do stick to stems, fruits, herbs, I mean leaves, vegetables basically. So, and they have actually specific, they have a very specific and a special diet. So they are actually vegetarians. I could conclude that they do feed on vegetables, sometimes on stems. So a few percentage of gorillas do feed on ants, red ants, but a few percentage. But basically also only the lowland, the western lowland gorillas do actually eat ants. But generally, mountain gorillas and all the gorillas are herbivores. So they
All
are
right, so
vegetarians.
well, thank you very much for that. I'm safe. I'm not going to be eaten by gorillas. Thank you very much for
No,
letting
no,
us
no, no.
know.
You're very safe. You're very, very extremely safe. They have no appetite for meat. They have no
Okay.
appetite for any other. They are not like other primates. Actually, they are not like, because now with chimps eat meat. Chimps can actually eat even themselves at some point. But
Hmm.
mountain gorillas, they stick to the diet, and that's one reason why they are also huge. They are very, very huge. When you can actually, if there have been incidents when someone has, for example, when you're weak, when you have like diabetes, like these chronic diseases, normally you are advised, to take on, vegetables. Maybe that could be the reason behind why gorillas are so giant and huge, because they feed on vegetables only. And actually also they are not good drinkers of the water. They take little amounts of water. They take really very, very little amounts of water, because what they are feeding on, the vegetables they are feeding on, they feed on young, very, very vegetables that are at a very, very young stage. So these vegetables that they are eating, they're actually, they have lots and lots amounts of water. So yeah, that would be that is the reason why they are very huge, because they have a lot of nutrients that they don't fall sick easily. So there is no reason why, because they cannot be huge, they cannot be giants, because they don't fall sick, they don't those kinds of things. Yeah.
And also following up on that large body built of the gorillas, we have a question here. Said, why do they have large fangs?
Why do they have
That's
large
scary.
fangs?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, when you look at their eating habits, they eat a lot of their diet includes most of the vegetables that they eat. They have very large leaves. The leaves are very large, and actually because they are huge, they have this very large mouth, because they are not eating one simple leaf. They pick a bunch of leaves. They pick a bunch of leaves from a tree or from a plant. They scrub, they pull out a bunch of leaves, and so it's actually a bunch of leaves that they eat, and then they put in their mouth at once. So basically that could be the scientific reason why the mouse is very big. And I think also because when you look at their mouth, something is red, and it has a red mouth somewhere on the lips. Some of these vegetables or these plants they eat, some of them they have what we call, some of them are fans, and these fans, some of them they have itching. I don't know how some they are not tasty, but at a certain point of time they are useful to their diet. So sometimes, of course, they want to regulate, if there is anything, that shouldn't be consumed, it has to stay somewhere in its mouth, on the lips of the gorilla.
Well, it's good to know that those large and long fangs, long teeth, is for eating vegetables. Okay, that's they're very
It's for
reassuring.
eating, basically, it's for eating, because they consume large amounts of vegetables and leaves at one time.
All right, so we have another question here about their habitat, their way of life. The question is, do they move around a lot, or do they live in one area only?
Wow, that's another super interesting question. Yeah, they don't live in one place. They don't live in one place. They actually live in one place at a time, daily. So they build nests every day. So they move around. Of course, within their territory, they have a certain territory that they live. But of course, they feed around. It's more like uh, within that territory, they sleep in different places, of course, not far, but of course within their territory. But they live they build nests every single day. They build nests. Excuse me. So they build nests every day, and of course they sleep there every morning. They wake up just like human beings. They wake up they have a daily routine that they follow, looking for food and living. So they build these nests, sleep there, and tomorrow, of course, the silverback. Now that's the job of the silverback. Where do we sleep? How are we going to sleep? So the silverback does all this work. It arranges, the sleeping, more. Now this one is going to sleep here. You're going to make here your nest. It divides, tells them you're going to make your nest there. You're going to make your nest there. You're going to make your nest here. You're going to make your nest here. So he orders them he makes arrangements for this, how they will sleep that very night. And then tomorrow, the next day, they will move. And where they stop, where the day ends, it's where they will sleep. That's the life of mountain gorillas.
Well, now I understand that the silverback is also a landlord. That here's a question: when you mentioned about nest, are they shelters or cave or what? Can you describe us what nest means? To me, to my
Yeah.
understanding, when I say nest, then that's going to be like a bird's nest.
Oh yeah, yeah. The gorillas' nests are actually more of like, when I talk of a bird nest, it's the same. Why? Because they make nests through, of course, they are hard wood. They do break. They use wood. They use wood to make nests. So it's not a bird nest, but this time around it's a gorilla nest. So a bed. It's a bed. Of course, it's bigger because the gorillas are very, very huge. So most of them make nests on the ground. But of course, if they are juveniles, they are, they are in their stage of, of growth. They make at a certain level, not very high, but of course they will make, the juveniles will prefer to make nests a bit higher. But of course, the older ones, the adults, make nests on the ground. So they are made out of course, sticks, hard sticks, and of course some leaves. But after how the nest looks like, the gorilla blacks, it has 3 layers. The gorilla nest has 3 layers. It has hardwood, because the gorilla is very heavy, and of course it has more soft wood, of course, to cover to cover the hardness of the harder wood. And then of course there are fans in the wild. So the gorilla nest has 3 layers: the harder, the little harder, and the fan, which is soft. So yeah, it's a bit
That's nice.
so the gorilla nest is actually, it's a beautiful one. It's a very, very beautiful one. I will share one with you actually, or I will actually make, I think I will make, I will write an article about the gorilla, how they sleep, how they spend the day on your website. So I'll put that for, for our viewers to actually, I think to inspire other people, to love gorilla. I will do that today, just after this. I will write that, and I'll actually share a photo, of a gorilla nest. I will share different photos, on the website, so people can see. Yeah.
Well, that is wonderful, Godfrey. Thank you very much
Yes.
for doing that, and we're going to wait for it. But here's the
Yes.
thing. The way that I understand is that there are some threats regarding the Forgotten Kingdom. All right. So let's watch a video about some of the threats that are threatening the Forgotten Kingdom. So let's watch this video.
Fantastic.
Well, Godfrey, could you tell us something about the video? What makes humans a threat for the Forgotten in the Forgotten Kingdom?
Well, now that is the exact and the main reason why major live streaming exists, why people like me, Godfrey, myself, and other conservations exist. Now, the Forgotten Kingdom, what really inspired me to call it the Forgotten Kingdom is basically to, like what you just watched, that people, we just mentioned that they are the fewest apes remaining in the whole world. Again, they are the fewest apes remaining in the whole world. And yet, we can also see that people are going into, encroaching into their already limited habitat. But remember, they are also, they also want to live. They also want to multiply in numbers, just like human beings. But there is now a problem, a very, very big challenge that I myself and other people who love these animals, and of course other animals to live, we are very much concerned about the growing population of people around the habitats of gorillas. The large number of people, the population is increasingly high. It's very, very high, to the extent that there is no room now for people living around the gorilla habitats. They have no room. So for them to create room, they have to go now to the forest. But remember, the forest is not enough for the gorillas. But actually, people now are encroaching. They are going there. And you would see that they are going there to do agriculture, farming. They are going to cut timbers, to do lumbering, to cut timbers, building materials. They also, looking, to grow crops for their food. But remember, these gorillas cannot grow crops. They don't, they don't live in houses. They don't live, they don't build houses. So they actually deserve all these raw materials, all these things we are calling raw materials, these things that we are collecting from their habitat within the forest. You would see that because of now the human encroachment has made gorillas to start actually coming out of the forest, because their initial habitats have been cleared. But the gorillas also remember that this is our home. So they are actually coming to their home, but it's unfortunate that you would see clearly that they are in the gardens of people. That was initially their home, but it was cleared, it was occupied, it was taken away by the human beings. So it is a very, very big threat. Like I said in the beginning, that the gorillas share genes with human beings. We are the second closest relatives. We can transmit diseases. We can transmit diseases. Actually, the threats that we are getting of recent, there was a study that was carried out in all of the 3 destinations that I mentioned: Uganda, Rwanda, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. There were incidents where gorillas were seen sneezing, having sneezing and bring mucus coming out of their nose. That is flu coming from human beings, coming from human beings. That means we are a threat to them. They are few, but we are actually transmitting the diseases. And these gorillas do not have doctors like us. They don't have doctors. They have no health care that human beings have. So that is the main threat to them. The diseases that we transmit, the habitat that we are occupying, the food that we are clearing to make our own food, but we are clearing their home, and we are actually taking away their food. So that is the main threat. That is, so the main number 1 threat for me, it's us human beings. Human beings are actually a threat to gorillas.
Well, thank you for that insights, and thank you for letting us know about that. But here's another question coming from the chat. They were asking, is poaching a problem?
No, it's not a problem. What you saw, there is what you just watched a few minutes ago, it was a snare. But now people, because of the increased population within the surroundings of the gorilla habitats, people are actually trying to catch the duikers, these other antelopes. So it's not generally a very, very big problem, because we haven't actually, we try to look for if there is anyone poaching or looking or targeting the gorillas. If at all, the snares were not meant for gorillas, but it is a threat. like I said, it's a threat, but of course to add to the other life or to the other inhabitants of the wild. So that snare was actually, you see, it gets, a gorilla, but it was meant for a duiker. There are bush duikers. There are other, so the poaching that you experience, which you saw, for example, that picture was taken in Mugahinga National Park. So, and it was actually caught on the side of Rwanda. And Mugahinga National Park is within the Muhabura Ranges, which is the active volcano in Africa. Now, that poaching, if at all exists, is not in Uganda. So poaching is not a threat in Uganda, but also mountain gorillas share habitat with Uganda, Rwanda, and Congo. And listen to this, yeah, poaching in DRC Congo or the Democratic Republic of Congo is a very, very, very big problem, but not in Uganda, not in Rwanda.
All right, so that's very nice to know. And
yeah, and the picture you saw, the photo you saw, was taken 2 years ago in the border of Uganda and Congo. So where there is a point where we share the border, Uganda, Rwanda, and Congo, and that is in the Volcano National Park. That's where the photo was taken.
All right,
so actually, it wasn't taken in Uganda.
Are you familiar with Jane Goodall?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Is it the same gorillas that Jane Goodall is studying or befriending?
Jane Goodall, her main focus was on the chimpanzees, actually, on the chimpanzees. But in this case, the famous conservationists who actually brought up the love, who brought all us, taught us to love these giant animals, these giants, is Diana Fossey.
Oh, okay. So
yes.
Here's another question. Ordinary person like me, I'm not living in Uganda, I'm not in South Africa. I mean, how can I help in the preservation of the Forgotten Kingdom? How can an ordinary person like me help in the preservation of this Forgotten Kingdom?
Wow, that's a very interesting and maybe the main reason why me, Majo, Benjamin, Bernard, and the team, why we exist. We are doing what can we do to make sure that these animals do live like we live. Now I came up with of recent, not very many years ago, when I really examined and understood that this was a very, very big problem and was a challenge to the lives of gorillas. I came up with, now I came up to join other conservationists. We have now, for the case of Uganda, we have the Uganda Wildlife Authority. We have conservationists in Uganda. And now how to come in, we have programs that are running, like you saw. The main problem or the main challenge of gorillas, the main challenge gorillas face is human beings. And what are we doing? We are replacing, we want to replace, we are working on replacing these raw materials, like number one, the increased population around the area. Conservationists like me and Bernard and other people come in and join, now identify which area is being more affected by this population. What we do, we come in finances now. We contribute to the cause. And how we do, we call it translocation. So what we do, we relocate. We go teach people. I go personally, go to the villages next to the national parks where these gorillas live. I talk to people with, of course, with other like people like Benjamin, if you are, we go talk to people, tell them, look, you are going too much. This is, no, we would suggest you, we are going to buy for you land in another place, because there is other places which are not occupied. And of course, in these places, gorillas cannot live there. So we do relocation. The relocation of buying land which the people have occupied and then relocate them. and leave this place empty. Those are the projects that are existing. That is how you can come in, buy land, relocate, buy this land, make it free, and then we relocate the people away from the gorillas. And number two, you can come in there. Now you could clearly see that people are going to the forest, are cutting down the forest in search for building materials, logs. So now what are we doing? We are introducing activities of not building with logs. Instead of building with logs, we are teaching people how to make bricks, to make bricks made out of clay. That if this person cannot have money to build because these people are poor, they cannot build big houses like you guys have. So they want cheap houses. So what we do, we encourage and teach people how to make bricks and provide actually some materials to use. There are materials they use to make bricks, and of course the main activity that we do, we teach them. But of course, in this teaching, it involves donations. You come in with money because now you're teaching them. You need to pay someone who is teaching the community how to make bricks, teaching the community how to build. How to build using bricks. That is another activity that you can get involved with, to avoid now to stop people from going to the forest to cut down in search for timbers, in search for logs to build the house. Another related now, another main activity that you can get involved to save the lives of gorillas is introducing commercial businesses, smaller commercial businesses. When you look at people going, you identify where people are consistently going into the forest to search for food. We have now introduced activities like commercial small businesses where we can support the community. We support them how? We give them capital, small money to start small businesses that they can do instead of, and when they do these small businesses, like merchandise businesses, selling food stuff, but not going to search food from the forest, or not cutting down the gorilla habitats, that someone wants to grow food and then of course survive. So we are looking at giving support to the communities through groups. Of course, we identify groups, and then we look at which other economic activity they can do to substitute the searching of food from the forest. So you getting involved in, you come and support these groups. Like, of course, we are introducing making crafts, handcrafts. They do and making small businesses. So when we support them, give starting capital, or help them and identify, teach them new skills of weaving, of making shoes, of, like I mentioned, making, of course, bricklaying and other skills and talents we provide. And then, of course, they can use these skills that we are providing instead, and they earn money, get food, instead of going to the forest.
Well, thank you very much for that. That is a very good, fantastic solution, and sustainable, if I may add.
Yes,
Well,
it
here's the
is
thing that we're
sustainable.
going.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
here's the one thing that we're going to ask of you, Godfrey. When you write at our Mojo streaming blog later, would you be able to provide us on ways how we can help? Like, for example, I would like to donate some money. Could you please put in the blog that you're going to write later on how we're going to donate money to your organization? And I think this is the time that we have to say goodbye, and we have to end this. Thank you very much, Godfrey. That is very exciting, very, very informing on my part. And it saddens my heart to know that we as humans are the one encroaching on the habitat of the mountain gorillas, and we are the one responsible for destroying parts of their kingdom. And I would like to do my part to reverse that, to help that, so that we can preserve the habitat of mountain gorillas, thus preserving the forgotten kingdom so that it's not going to be forgotten anymore. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. You've been wonderful guest, and thank you very much, Godfrey, for giving us this opportunity to answer some of our questions. And I hope, and I think that some of those who were not able to watch this live, they would have some questions, and you would have the chance to ask questions when the Godfrey opens his blog at Mojo Streaming. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Godfrey. And this is the end of our meet and greet.
Wow, that's